Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending yet, folks. It's your man always, George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bottom Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, you know what? I kind of made a mistake on that. I'm not doing female bodybuilding talk. I know you guys. I see the three people right in here. You're excited about me talking about female bodybuilding talk. I should just say me, George, all the way George Page. That's a mistake. I apologize. So let me start all over again. Good morning, YouTube. This is your man, always George Page, coming to you live on YouTube. And the fact is, I'm not doing muscle talk. I'm talking about stuff that really affects me as an American in this country. Now, this month is a big month for me. It's my birthday month. November 19th, I'm going to be 51 years old. That means I have lived 51 years on this earth. I have lived 51 years in this body, and I have been, living 51 years. Also special. A couple of family members just had some birthdays. Shout out to my great nephew Jordan. He's my mother's first great grandchild. He's now that boy. I think he's 24 now. 24. Yeah, 24. Yeah, 24. And also I have a niece. She has a birthday coming up. Tukum. She's also born in November, and then two of my sisters. My sister Mary was born in 11. Her birthday is next Tuesday. My sister Betty, my sister Jean is the 13th, and my brother he's the 16th, and I am the 19th. And to also remember my sister Mary, she was a great person. But anyway, the subject is not about bodybuilding. I know you guys. Shout out to James Henry. He says, "Happy early birthday, thank you, brother. I appreciate that." But the subject is yesterday. Is the third for me. The third is when I get my food stamps. It's not the food stamps I used to get. If you remember growing up, if you grew up through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and 90s, back in the day, we used to get food stamps. We used to come in the mail. Sometimes, like, we lived at the country, and the mailman would honk the horn, and who was at the house old enough to sign for them, which I've done quite a few times, we signed for it. Because my mom, she had work sometimes, mostly because, like I said, she's a sharecropper. That means she had to get up early in the morning and go to work. She didn't come back home till the afternoon for lunch. And then when she came in the afternoon, I get the food stamps, and she just say, well, whoever my older brother, sister there, if we had a car, she'd go tell them, go get some stuff for the house, and then she'd be back. Or she'd tell them, hey, the food stamps come, give me something to eat. So when I get home, I have something to eat for lunch. And shop for the children, get something for the house. And that's what it was. Because my mother was a single mother, even though she was still legally married to my father, they were separate. He was living in New Jersey. We were down here in North Carolina. They were together for nearly over 50 years until he passed in 2014. And when he died, she still got benefits because she was his wife, his legal wife. She got what we call widow benefits. That means that her benefits accrued on her, which helped her out. Really helped a lot. A few extra dollars here, helps out. And the welfare system was the idea of it was to look out for widows and children. Well, her children pretty much grown. Her children had children, and their children had children. But she was still a wife, and she was legally owed those benefits for she was still with her husband. They were never divorced. And that's what goes by the history of it. If you know the history about the welfare system, it started back after the Great Depression, which was created by a Republican president. The president at the time was around about, I think, 1920, 1920s was Calvin Coolidge. And what he did, his dumb behind did was put money that was government money, government tax money that the people put into taxes after everything else they paid, property taxes, sales taxes, and put it into the stock market, which is rich people's gambling. Stock market doesn't really, tells how the country goes. Stock market is just guessing and gambling for rich people. It's us, the people, who put into the money to the government. When we spend and buy stuff, we're the ones who keeping the government going with our taxes, from sales taxes to property taxes. Everything is taxed. Now I get Social Security. It's not taxed because it's money that took it out of my check when I was working. For the years I was working, holding two jobs. So that money doesn't get touched, but when I spend it, it's taxed. But because I don't get I get so much a month. I don't even get barely over $1,300 a month That's not much. But where food stamps come in, it covers the cost of it. I don't get a lot. I get $60. But I got a program I'm under called, Health United Healthcare is called Healthy Choices. They give you a little over, a few $100s, which can cover buying food and also paying bills. I buy my groceries and I pay my light bill with that. That's a bonus. But imagine those people who do live off of food stamps. And the thing is, this is the illusion people always want to talk about, that black people make up the majority of people on welfare. We don't. We are only 14, 50% of the population, while the majority of it is white people. They make up the good number of it. And right now, there's a lot of not just black families, but white families struggling. Because these are people, many of them are the ones who voted for this shit. Don't say you didn't, you did. You voted for a reality broke, talk show, reality host, to run the country. When the first time you did it, he made a mess, but you didn't learn from the first time. You thought he could do better. No, now he's done worse. Right now, he's giving money to a group which is supposed to be helping, stop, which idea was to, enforce border patrol, stuff like that. But now they are acting like the Gestapo. If you heard the Gestapo, that was a German, Nazi strong arm part of the Nazi party. Their job was to chase after people, be they Jewish, be they gypsies, be they gay, be disabled, anybody who's not pure Aryan white, and punish them just because they were living in that country, in Germany. Now, I see people say it's like Nazi Germany. No, it's not. Even some aspects of it is, but it's not, because there are things and balances that are put in here that kind of halt this man. Now, you talk about he goes to court. He has more losses than he has wins in court because it's a bad history. And even though he appointed some judges, he didn't appoint as many as Joe Biden did. When Joe Biden left office, and he was a good man. Shout out to President Biden. Even though he's struggling with what he's doing right now, he's doing all right from what I heard. His cancer is not as bad, it's not as aggressive like it was because he's getting taken care of. And that's the thing is, when you're president, hey, anything that pull out all stops for you because the medication, stuff like that, is out there. Right now, that's why Trump is still walking around like he is, because they're pumping whatever they can into him to keep the man alive. Because he dies, the party dies. The MAGA movement dies. No one has the charisma and the style or whatever else to lead it. Not J.D. Vance. No, they don't trust him. They don't like him because he was a hater. And now he jumps on his bandwagon. Nobody. There's nobody can lead it. Once he dies, it's over for them. But right now, you're seeing people jumping off ships because they realize they backed the wrong horse. It's like, especially, it was like what happened during the Great Depression. There were men jumping out of buildings committing suicide because they went broke, because they couldn't handle it. But black people, we survived. Even though it was hard for us, just as much as it was for a lot of white people, there was not that many suicides. I don't think that even, maybe it was a struggle because we were struggling before. So we used to struggle. But for them, a blanco, they're not used to it. They're never used to, I grew up, like I said again, poor in the welfare system. I lived on lunch at school. I had to pay for my lunch. I might have every now and then. If I did a little something, I might have a little money in my pocket. I buy myself a little cake or maybe another milk or juice if I had some money. But generally, I lived on free lunch. It held me down like steel. Like I had to go to school. My mom was working. If I got home, my older sister was there and they cooked something. Hey, I appreciate that. Some kids didn't have that. There's some kids now who don't even have that because their parents are working. Here's the game again. People on welfare are not all a bunch of, welfare moms with 5, 6, 7 kids. I want to shout to my little brother, Exeguche, who doesn't know shit about how things work. He goes by what you see and hear, but not really study and listen to what is the truth behind what's going on. And when people talking about people who's getting their nails done and getting these Gucci bags, you're talking about maybe a few outliers. And then also, sometimes some situations, some ladies or men make deals with people who have money and they need maybe, because you got to think about it. If you know somebody who still has maybe $100 worth of food stamps, and and somebody who has $100, tell them do this: go shopping, take your $100 in cash, your $100 in food stamps. You go to a grocery store. When you are done, you have gotten barely $100 worth of stuff. You only got maybe a couple or 3 bags, depending on what you get. You need kind of meat you want to eat, some kind of vegetables, some kind of stuff to help you cook, maybe also we might some little snack on because you know what, as humans we like a little something snack on. Some little something sweet, a little something salty. Maybe chips, maybe a little cake or something like that. Because or something to drink. You're not going to drink water. Water's nice, but water can be boiled. And then you look at somebody who spent $100 food stamps. They got as much as they need out of it because the fact was food stamps don't get taxed. I remember when I was growing up, there used to be little country stores. They're around the corner. And sometimes what they do was they would trade food stamps for non-food items, gas, washing powders, dishwashing liquid, kerosene, because it's still money. Even though it get taxed, it's still money. And the reason why they stopped the food stamps because a lot of people, a lot of places and people were trading cash for food stamps. But here's the thing, people, there's always a way around a mousetrap. Somebody who has, if they have a regular job where they make pretty good money, but they got to think about it, they have to stretch their dollars. Somebody used to have a book. They might have a book $100. They might have a book of a couple $100 food stamps. Hey, you just give them $100. Because it's a trade. Because you got to think about it, the cash for the food stamps is going to be worth the cash for the money. Because you give a trade. Because even though food stamps may be more, but the fact is cash gets taxed. So you go with somebody with $100, you get $80 worth of food stamps. Because they have to make it because they're going to lose if they give you even $100 for even $100 food stamps, they're losing money because that $100 is going to be taxed. So they give you less food stamps for more money because they have to make it up for the loss. So you get $100 food stamps, and you get $80 for food stamps. They get $100. 60 for 40. Because those food stamps, you got to think about it. By the time you spend cash for food, you're going to be spending $60. But you spend $40, you're spending more because again, you don't have to worry about the taxes. It's crazy math. I used to remember that's how sometimes my mom used to do it, my sister used to do it, even I did it. But that was by the time I was getting food stamps, I was getting the EPT. But I knew somebody, especially when I was unemployed. Because for a while, one point I was unemployed. And that's when we get food stamps, we unemployed. Right now, we have the highest number of unemployment this year, especially for Black people. We're the ones who usually unemployment hits harder because, most companies will fire the minority employees before they fire the white ones. I did talk about the DEI. DEI really helps more white women than it does Black people. White women and disabled people. Disabled people want to work. I respect that. Most places don't want to hire you disabled because they have to make things more sensible for you. And their mindset is a lot more money. But it's worth it because you have a good person who wants to work. Yeah. Shout out to my man. Appreciate to my man, J260. Yes, exactly, Uncle George. Yeah. And a lot of people who are on welfare do have jobs because many of them either live at, below the poverty line or just slightly above it. And this is how these work programs work. You apply for assistance. Now, a lot of people talk about, immigrants are getting food stamps. They can't if they don't have a social security number. Now, if you're a citizen here and you have a social security number and you have your citizenship, yes, you can get it. In some cases, might give you emergency assistance. But if you are somebody, and I'm not saying illegal, because people can't be illegal. You don't have your documentation. You don't have a birth certificate that you were born in this country, or you don't have a visa, or most definitely a social security card, because that's what you go by. That's the number you go by. It's 7 letters, 7 numbers they go by, which registers you for assistance. With me, I have to when every year I have to apply. Now, when I was unemployed, I was getting maybe $100 in food stamps assistance when I was unemployed. But then when I got my disability, it dropped down to less than that. I mean, one time I was actually shopping, because it was first of the month, and I got my first disability check. So I said, well, let me go ahead and shop. Let me get some groceries and stuff for the house because at the time I was still taking my mom. While I was in line, lady told me, said, "Sir, you have like about like $1 left of your food stamps." I said, what? Well, I found out once my disability check hit, I lost those benefits and I had to re-register because I was getting so much. I was getting $15, $17 after I re-registered for my new food stamps. $15, $17. You can buy bread, some kind of meat, and maybe some snacks, and that's it. It's gone. Now, fast forward, my mom dies. I live here in the projects, and now I become I'm sole person on my rent because the house is under my name now. So I reapply, and I showed them when I reapplied, I gave them the light bill, which is under my name, and my rent. So it went up to $60. Wow, $60. Because I was getting over at the time nearly $1,200 a month. You got to think about it. The cash is not much. $60 is not much. By the time you spend, you get some kind of meat to cook, whatever stuff you might need, it's gone before you know it. But then I applied for United Healthcare because I get both Medicaid and Medicare, which gives me healthy choices, which helps out with my light bill and buying food. I just bought some groceries this Sunday. For me, I ordered through Walmart and they deliver to the house. I don't have to go out too much. Unless I go pay a bill. That helps out. It does. Honestly does. But then I still get my food stamps, and that helps with the cost of food too. Like at the end of the month, when every so often I say, when the groceries get a little low, you always want to restock. So I have a few food stamps left and maybe a few healthy choices left instead of dipping the cash. Cash doesn't go too far, especially with the cost of food have gone up the last few months. It's a struggle. But people like that sit in the White House, sit in Congress, don't understand that. And these things are necessary and needed. When the welfare system was started, it was meant for temporary, and truthfully it is. But not everybody stays on it. Eventually, you either grow up and move on, you get a better job, whatever. But it's there whenever you have that situation where life gets hard. A lot of homeless people or somebody who was like a check short of their rent, who have gone through some kind of sickness and illness that they couldn't rebound, or military. And the thing is about military, they live off of assistance from the federal government. Right now, we have soldiers not getting paid. I got a guy I used to go to school with. He joined the Marine Corps after high school. I was thinking about joining too, but I don't know. It just maybe wasn't for me. I also had a part-time job when I was in high school, and I had it since I was almost 30. And then I got myself another job. One time he saw me, said, "What you doing, George?" I said, "Well, I'm just living at home, and are you working?" "No, I'm just getting, disability." He said, "Well, you're getting money from me." "No, whoa, brother. This is money I put in. I worked for over 20 years, working 2 jobs, working this job. That's money I put in, because that's where that money comes from. It comes from your check you paid in from insurance every day of your life while you're working. And also, yes, some of it comes from taxpayers, but a good amount of it is from you. He was in the military. You were living off of me, a taxpayer. Who pays the military taxes? Who pays the military? Who pays the Army, the Air Force, Marines? Not them. They come from taxpayers. So you were getting assistance. And also, people, they're called EBT. Here, as we call it, for civilians, it's EBT. For military, they call it SNAP because they didn't want to call it food stamps. Because they want to make it separate from other people's idea. Well, folks, here I'm gonna pull this up for you real quick. You want to look at this, and this is something is the truth. Now, this is the food stamp myths. Myth 1 is people who get SNAP don't work. The overwhelming majority of SNAP recipients who can work do work. People that work in Walmart, grocery stores, gas stations, um, places like any fast food place, because many of them live at or below the poverty line, so they can apply for it. Here's uh, here's number two here. SNAP is the drain on taxpayers. No, every dollar in SNAP benefits generates 1.7 $1.73 into economy activity, meaning that's money is going to the system. Meaning right now, grocery stores are losing money because they don't have people spending. Yes, you have people with jobs spending, but their money only goes so far, especially when you have to fight with the prices of food is going up. Here's number three. SNAP is a rifle with fraud and abuse. There's no such thing as a perfect system. How this part says SNAP has a fraud rate less than 3%, the lowest of any public benefit program. His thing is there's never going to be a perfect system. People are going to take advantage and abuse the system. But the thing is, it's hard trying to maintain a lie because you have to keep everything in order. You have to make sure everything's right, make sure everything's put together. And that's sometimes hard to put together. Sometimes you might mess it up. And people have lots of benefits for that. But those people who are genuinely know their shit, who are on it and have the truth, like when you put in and send in your information, like, okay, this is my rent, this is my light bill, let me know if that helps me or help me not. It's hard to maintain that lie if you're trying to get these benefits. It's hard. Sometimes you mess up every now and then. And here's number four. SNAP benefits go to undocumented immigrants. And he says undocumented immigrants have never been eligible for SNAP. Like I said before, they do not have the right to it because they don't have what I tell you again, Social Security. If they're not documented, meaning you don't call them illegal, undocumented, meaning you don't have Social Security or birth certificate. Now, if they have their children can apply. If the children are born U.S. citizens, which is part of the Constitution, they have the right, they can apply for their children. And if you ever go shopping, like I said, I worked around and knew a few Hispanics. Like I said, my family was sharecroppers, and we worked with quite a few of them. They would come together as a family. Whoever, especially the men were working, they put their money and resources together, and they buy for the family in the home. A lot of times you go to the grocery store, you see a bunch of Hispanics. Don't be all Mexicans. This is Cubans, Colombians, Hondurans, different Hispanic people of different countries. They'll come together as a people, send the women out, they go shopping, they buy for the house and the family. There will be a bunch of people living in one house together. The men who are working put the resources together, their money together, and say, let's buy food for the family. That's how they do it. It's not all welfare benefits. I hear people talk about, yeah, but you just make it from assumptions. And if they are getting it because they either have citizenship, if they don't speak English, hey, you just need to know how to read, you don't have to speak it. That's the sad part about that. And I was watching a video. I'm gonna, if I shout to my man, I respect him. I love him. I call him my brother, but he don't know shit. About how things work. He goes by what he hears from these um, so-called uh, so-called influencers who don't know, who never struggled. Most of them never even been starving and try to survive and feed a family because either came from a family where everything's way off because they had the pleasure of their color, the privilege of life. But those black people, we didn't. So I'm gonna play this video I saw. I saw it yesterday. This is one thing that really, as a person, again, growing up in the welfare system and seeing what I saw and seeing what my mother had to do, my family had to do to survive. And this is something you need to listen because you know what? This is the truth of it.
people making the false claim that Black Americans are the largest recipients of welfare in the United States, and that's just not true. Whites overwhelmingly make up the largest beneficiaries of welfare programs in the United States. But this data can tell us something super important about welfare policy in the United States. More importantly, it talks about the history and systemic racism. Let's get into it. White Americans make up about 56% of the U.S. population, but only about 43% of welfare recipients. That means they are underrepresented in this data. Also, Black Americans only make up about 14% of the U.S. population, but 23% of welfare recipients, which means they are overrepresented. What's going on? So this is where then we start getting into the history of the United States, in particular the history of systemic racism, starting with slavery, because the history of slavery left many generations of Black Americans in extreme poverty with no way to get out of it. And at no point did the United States ever do anything to rectify that situation. Immediately following slavery, we entered Jim Crow. And Jim Crow had policies like redlining, which prevented Black Americans from finding success. So let's talk about what redlining was. When people would go to borrow money from banks, banks would literally look at the neighborhood they lived in to determine whether or not they got a loan. They would have neighborhoods marked in green and neighborhoods marked in red. Take a wild guess at who lived in those neighborhoods that were marked in red. Also, at the same time that this was happening, the United States government offered several $1 million, which would be several billion today, to homeowners to fix up their homes or their neighborhoods or to buy new homes. Only 2% of that money was made available to Black Americans. Redlining ensured that Black Americans could not escape the impoverished neighborhoods that they had been trapped in. But it also ensured that white Americans could always escape poverty, which is why white Americans are underrepresented here. Now, prior to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, America really believed in welfare. We thought that welfare was a great thing because Black Americans could not get it. So, for instance, coming back from World War II, Black Americans were just overwhelmingly denied the GI Bill. They could not get the GI Bill. They could not get small business loans or homeowners loans, even if they served their country in World War II. But going back to welfare, when white America was able to just give it to white America, we really believed in it. We thought that if a woman lost her husband for any reason, whether he died, whether he ran away, whether he divorced her, she should be allowed to stay home and take care of her children and not have to work, that her house should be paid for, that she should have a salary, that her food should be paid for her kids and the doctor's visits. And we paid for that as part of the aid to needy families. But then the 1964 Civil Rights Act happened, and suddenly Black mothers were also eligible for the same welfare benefits. And suddenly we see a shift where white America says we are building a nation of entitlement and we have to cut welfare spending. And so this move shifts from women being able to stay home and take care of their kids to TANF, which is temporary assistance to needy families. And that really makes it harder on families where you actually make less money if you work because you're not getting paid very much and you don't get as many benefits. So this sets up a system where people can't get the assistance that they need. And this is by design. In the 1930s, when the first welfare acts were put into place, one of those was the aid to families with dependent children. That was part of the 1935 Social Security Act. At the time, the Dixiecrats said that they would rather all of their people starve than Black Americans get any of those benefits. And so when Black Americans began to get those benefits, they decided they would rather their people starve again. And that's the mode of welfare that we have today. So myths like these are just used to uphold that racism, to paint it like it's Black Americans' fault that, welfare is being paid out because the white Americans who created the welfare policies don't want Black Americans to have it, and they would rather punish their own poor white citizens than allow Black people to flourish.
That's true. Because for a good while, when the welfare system was established right after the Great Depression, a lot of Black people didn't get that rights to have welfare assistance. And we had to learn how to survive. We had to learn basically like this to make $1 out of 15 cents, $1 out of a nickel. We had to learn. And then we got the opportunity because of the civil rights movement. Then they say that, well, The Dixiecrat, which are the Democrat racists that didn't want it. See, like I said, each group have their racists. Even Republicans have racists. Remember, the Republican Party was the party of the people. Truthfully, it originally was. But then because they wanted to ingrace themselves onto the Dixiecrats, they brought them in. And that party reformed the Republican Party, and then the Republican Party had to reform itself. So it switched. Republicans you know now are based on the Democrats back in the day, and the Democrats you know now were based on the Republicans back in the day. Like one of the presidents that before the Great Depression was Franklin Delano. Sorry, not Franklin. Before Franklin Delano was his cousin Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, who was a soldier, statesman, boxer. He was a mayor of. I think he was the mayor of New York, a governor of New York. He had a long time career in politics. He was one of the first Republican monopoly busters. When you had these rich and wealthy families who wanted to buy and monopolize businesses and corporations, he stopped them because he didn't want these men to have so much power. J.B. Morgans, the Carnegies, the Fairchilds, those very rich families that lived in America, he made sure they didn't gain too much wealth and limit them, put on taxes, stop them from buying up businesses and corporations, limit their resources where they wouldn't have so much. Because you really play Monopoly. Monopoly is based on that. My older brother James, he you played with him. My brother was good. He'll buy all the land, get all the parts, and then to the point where he start making his money. He starts putting motels on the property. He hit on the property, and then you only got a few things that he said. Well, Hoss, I see you got a railroad. Well, I'll give you $50, give you a couple free passes, and you just give me your railroad. You sit there because you don't have nothing left in your hand, and you take the $50 he's giving you, and he gets you a free pass. You get past Boardwalk, you have some money in your pocket. Then you hit on his property, you're broke again. He said, James, I don't got nothing else. Well, you're out. You're out of the game. My brother my brother understood that. He understood that. That's how things work. There is a monopolizer. That's right now. Like just saw we talked about CBS News where they paid Trump $16 million over a bullshit allegation. They could have just fought it, but no, because that company wanted to be bought out and paid by another company, and because he has a new FCC guy, for these deals to be made, you have to get permission from the FCC. So they bribe the president so they can form this new company can buy out CBS. Right now, I don't even watch regular news. Don't even watch for weather. I watch more stuff on YouTube. I follow people like Jesse Dollamore. I follow the Midas Touch. I used to listen to the Young Turks, but they kind of just I listen to Dr. Richie. I listen to other people. I listen more with. I know other people. They post little videos like with my man K. I watch you, but those people just be most times talking out of their ass. They don't have facts. They talk mostly out of their idea what they believe in, but don't give facts. And the thing is, people like to dismiss facts. But here's to say how Jay-Z said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. When the numbers are out there, you see it like the Just Gentleman showed. White people are over 50% of the country. And most half of it live on welfare. While you have another 12 to 10% who are upper to middle class. And then you have maybe the 1 to 2% who are wealthy. Now, Black people, instead of getting just make 14% of the population, and we're not even 30% on welfare. That means out of that, 26%, not even less than half of us on welfare. That means that's maybe 5 to maybe 6% of the Blacks are on welfare, while the other are actually working and have jobs. And yes, the people that are on welfare also have jobs. My mother worked. So I guess she was a sharecropper. She worked for somebody else because we lived on his land. We had to pay rent, but we had to work for him. Now, Season starts usually by the end of March. That's mean early spring to about late fall, because that's when that's when the planting is up. Because by then it starts getting cold. We got to bring in the like beans, wheat, depending on what's going out in the fields. That got to be brought in into the harvest and sent to to the factory and stuff to be processed. That's what my mom was doing. My mom worked tobacco, or sometimes somebody might have cucumbers to pick, or cotton. That was really ones that, especially in the South, cotton, because those products can grow better here in the South than anyplace else. And Black people, we are only in so few places. That's just this 50 states and about a bunch of territories, but many of those out of those 50 states, we only are in maybe 10 to less than 10%, the large majority in those states. Places like, okay, North Carolina, where I'm at, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, most of the South, California, Texas, New York, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania. But then you have states like Oklahoma, Oregon, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Iowa, Idaho, the Dakotas, Wyoming, Montana. Utah is very white. Alaska, and the only state that doesn't have a lot of white people out of that is Hawaii. Even they're making almost the majority of that state. In some of those states, there's less than 1% to 2%. Think about Nebraska. You think about one person. Think about Nebraska. Terrence Crawford. We just beat Canelo about a month or so ago, and this brother got held by police because he was driving his car. We don't make up the large majority of this country. We get all the blame, all the damnation. I say it like this: when welfare was available for Black people, we jumped on like anybody because, hey, we wanted to get out of poverty. And yes, some women had to make the change, like, aka, we can't have a man in the house, but still they were around. So that's why some women didn't get married. Their husband was still working. He still provided. Now, in my situation, my mother and father, they were broke up. My father still paid, assistance to us kids. He was docked because, hey, even though he may not been in the home, he abandoned my mother and his children. So they still docked him for child support. I remember my mom got my last check from me. She took some money out of it because, hey, she's my mom. My mom, she had to take care of things and gave me the rest. And I spent it. Hey, I was 18. This money, hey, I was working already, but hey, it's nice to have a little money. I was getting taxes too. Because my little side job, hey, I made enough so I can file for taxes. You get more, we have dependents, but it was just me. I used to carry my mom back in the day because she was a dependent. And then, I miss filing taxes. I wish I could still, but I can't because I don't have dependent. And with my Social Security, you can't tax it because it's already money that's come from taxes, my taxes that I put into it. The thing is, people, right now, people are suffering. The people who are not now don't know is going to feed their children. And those women and men who do have jobs, they have to find a way to stretch a dollar because they have to now not only have to worry about paying your light bill, your, paying your rent, if you have water, if you have a car, and better not your car have a situation where it breaks down. That's an expense. That's too expensive. Right now, I had a car. My sister gave it to me. I had a guy who worked on it. He made a mess out. I took another guy. The other guy, he said he was going to work on it. And after a while, I just got tired of asking him and seeing what, I said, fuck it. I do, like, I live in the country. You do need a car to get around. But with the program I'm with, I can get rides. I'm going to lower my rides. So I found a way to get around. you know. And thanks shout to one of my nieces app from Walmart. So I have to go to Walmart. Only time I do go is when I want to pay my light bill. I was paying it, try to pay it online through the company I'm with, but the situation each time I send it in, they send it back. So I gotta next time I do pay it, I gotta talk to them and see what needs to be done because if I can't make it to Walmart to pay my light bill, and I don't want to use cash to pay it because I want to use that money because I'm planning on saving going on a trip. That helps me out. Like during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, people were out of work. They were getting their unemployment benefits and were getting welfare benefits. Me and my mom was getting like between us, we would get a few $100s, buying groceries to take care of each other. And when I made a choice after she passed for me to take care of myself, I, had it really it saved me money. That was the reason why I was able to go on my first trip to Savannah because I didn't have to spend cash to buy food. I was getting about a couple $100s a month, and in the first of the month I stack up, and then later on when you get a little low on groceries, you buy some more because food don't last forever. You eat, you cook, you might eat it. I usually eat my couple times a day. I might snack in between that. I don't eat big meals. I eat nice little. I might cook some rice and broccoli, some chicken like that. I might have something like a sandwich for lunch or something like that, depending on what I feel like I'm in the mood for. But because I had so much in food stamps and plus my healthy choices, I could able to spend it on cash. And I went my first trip to Savannah because I always wanted to go to the bodybuilding show. When I did have a job, I didn't have the time. And I was the type of person that traveled by myself. I usually, if I traveled somewhere, it was with my family or my sisters. I went to Disney World a couple of times with my sisters and family and friends. Went to Virginia. That's when I had a job. When I went to Disney World the first time, actually not the first time, but second time I went, I had offered my 401k for my job. I applied for a hardship loan. I got about $1,500 and still had some money on the side. And I went and enjoyed myself. Came back just about broke. And then when I quit that job a couple years later, I still had to pay the money back from that hardship loan. And here's the thing about this. I worked at MJ Sophie for 8 years that first time, and then I quit. And then I had maybe a little over $3,000 after they took out for the rest of my hardship loan. Okay. Now, when I was unemployed with Sophie's, I was getting my last time I was getting like maybe a little over just about $33,000 in I had for unemployment. Now I worked Smithfield for about a year. For that year, I got more than $3,000 because that job was paid more. I was getting by the time I quit, I was getting almost $14 an hour. I wasn't there a full year. I was in and out dealing with my medical issues. Had my heart attack, had a couple of stuff that happened to me, and also I had surgery for my pacemaker. Because that thing is, if you pay people more money, they have more money to spend. That's why the minimum wage should go up. At the most, if you make the minimum wage instead of $7.25, let's double that, $14.50. You know what's going to happen? People are going to spend money and put it back in the system. Right now, you have a rich mother. I'm not going to say the word too much. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Who never had to struggle. When he started business, his daddy gave him his first $1 million. My daddy just gave me life. That's what he gave me. Other than that, he never had to struggle. And then when he was broke, he lived off assistance. He applied for Pell Grants. You know what Pell Grant is? When I went to college, I could apply for a loan and I could apply for a Pell Grant. The loan will pay for most of my tuition and some of my books. And the Pell Grant would pay for the rest. And then whatever money left for that Pell Grant, after it used to be, you had to wait, it was usually a few weeks. But some people get to school and then quit. They changed the policies. Now you have to wait at least about 6 weeks or more. And then whatever's left out of that, you get money. That's what I do with. Like when I had a car, I put some work on my car, bought me some clothes, and helped run the house when I lived with my mom. Give her some money because she's my mom, she's my roommate. I went to college for about a couple of years, and then I dropped out because I got opportunity to work a job, and that job didn't last too long. And again, people who are working do get SNAP benefits and EBT because they have children responsibilities. There's married couples who get welfare because the cost of living is so high. And if you can try to find a job, you're great. But it's a lot hard for Black people because we get prejudiced against. Right now, just saw the news, that this mother threatened grocery stores if they give any kind of assistance or benefit to people on welfare. He's doing this as a punishment because we got kicked out of presidency back in 2020. He's punishing working poor people and the people that supported him. And now people saying, "Well, you are stupid. You didn't think this man was going to mess up your money." And stop doing this. Stop using the excuses like gays are getting married, women getting abortions. Those don't really affect your pocket. Those are people living their lives, doing what they want to do. But then when it affects your pocket, right now you have a bunch of farmers screaming that we don't want assistance, but we want to fair. But you know what? You voted for this. And you know what? Who had a hard time? Black farmers. They had a struggle because they weren't getting the benefits and the subsidies that the white farmers were getting. They were punished because of the color of their skin. When Black farmers were doing the Reagan administration, when they were losing their farms, going out of business, Black people going through the same thing, but they didn't get the help because the fact was the racist policies and Jim Crow shit that still exists in America. Here's the thing about this: you talk about Nazism. Where did they get the idea for Nazism? From America's Jim Crow policies and laws. Hitler said it himself. That he was inspired by America, how they did us Black people. That's where Jim Crow idea. That's where Nazism sprung from. Jim Crow, from the Klan, from those people. They just changed it, and also that's what he did because he was really. You can say a lot about Hitler, but Trump. Even though he didn't have a college education, he was book learned. He studied history, paid attention to it. But he has to often sometimes, like this, when you become the villain too long, you're not gonna stay on top. Now Donald Trump, he's gonna be president for the next 3 years. He's gonna probably live another 5 more years before he gets called home, but not the home he thinks he's gonna get called to. I don't think even the devil wants him. He might be in purgatory for the rest of for whatever remaining of his soul. But people, stop demonizing people who do get this, and stop putting like thinking like, "Oh, it's just a Black woman with 6 kids." No, it's not. It's white women with 6 kids. If a Black woman knows how to improvise, she knows how to work. My mother was a hustle. My mother knew how to hustle, and she taught that to the rest of us too. That's how we Black people, we had to learn how to hustle. We had to learn how to to stretch things. As slaves, we were getting crumbs, scraps. And right now, from those crumbs and scraps, some people made like food industry money out of it. And Black people always want to capitalize when we make something. A lot of inventions in this country was created by us, and Black people get credit, white people get credit for it. But again, you always demonize us. You know how many Black people went to prison for wrongful accusing of a crime or killed or murdered? And white people get away with just about everything under the sun. Unless they hurt somebody who else is white, they usually don't get away with it. But with Black people, no one cares. Even Black on Black crime, they don't go as harsh because, hey, it's just you killing yourself. Whites make it the majority again. So what about white on white crime? What about when you hear some guy going to school, shoot up somebody, or shoot on his job, shoot up somebody? How have you even heard of Black people go on the job? Like I said, I quit some jobs. When I got to the point where I got fed up or I got pissed off, I made a choice to walk out. And I found a way. Like I said, I had a side job, and I kept that for a good while. Then I found a way. I went to school for a good bit. Then I found another job. They're out there. But right now, jobs are short and hard. And talk to people talk about where there's seasonal jobs, but now you're competing with a bunch of people who are now unemployed because of what Donald Trump did with Elon Musk and Doge, cutting out jobs, cutting out these jobs. We're trying to cut out your wastefulness. You're not. Those people were there to make the system go faster. Now it's slow. It takes longer. It takes time. You just made a mess. And then his dumbass Musk, he backed the man who really much shot his own self in the foot, not realizing he's affecting his money. Right now, he was number one in the world. Now he's dropped down to 2 to 3 because because one thing was that Donald Trump doesn't believe in renewable energies like windmills and water and what's it's called thermal energy. Those are sources of nature that can be used. But still want to use coal. Coal is getting old, and coal is very environmentally harsh. You know what? This is what somebody was watching the specialist during the pandemic because a lot of people wouldn't travel as much, a lot less gas was burning. Some places saw a better environment because the air seemed cleaner, because you had so less people being active. The human blueprint, as I said, the human carbon footprint, as they call it. People weren't moving around. There was less activity. That means, one time I took my sister to see, because she was going through some stuff, and sometimes she asked me because I was home, and my mom had a CNA who watched her and said, "Hey, you think you can drive me because I don't feel like driving, because sometimes I have to go into the doctor, they'll check me out, so I need a driver." I said, "Okay." And one time we were going down this road, and Regis Highway used to be busy, but there was better people on the road because people weren't moving around, people weren't busy, people were at home, people were quarantined. And it seemed like it was like a lot easier. Traffic wasn't as bad. I think you probably said that there was less crashes and incidents during the pandemic, during his presidency. Yeah, I remember. That was the time we were getting assistance. It's sad that people don't realize that things could have been better with Kamala Harris. And they warned you. They told you what this man was going to do. They knew the blueprint. They saw it. But you were so ignorant, so much you didn't want black people to have foot up, or because you want to go back to things where I used to be. You can't go back to the past. The past is gone. What you used to believe in is gone, it's dead. We had a discussion about how internet stuff has really blown up over years during our last Once Talk Monday. Because life is evolving, things are changing, technologies are getting better. And yes, back in the day, people had things like, this and this, but even then, it only goes so far. But you have to be willing to put the work in. If you're not willing to put the time and work in, you're not going to have nothing out of it. People realize something. America is only as good as the people that are good in it. The people who want to see fair share and opportunity. It's never going to be like it was. You can't stick on the past. It's nice to have that memory how things used to be and how things used to be and this and that, thinking about that, but it's not going to be like that. It's about the advancement of human beings as we grow, as we change, as we evolve. And that thing is, people, you have to be willing and wanting to grow with it. If those people want to stick, in the ways used to be, the old-fashioned ways, well, that's on you. But the rest of us, we're willing to go into the next level in human evolution. Again, welfare is not an evil thing. It's demonized by people who never had experienced it or have been went through it. Some of our best presidents are people who've been went through struggle. Guys like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, even Abraham Lincoln. Those people who came from nothing to build himself up. Now, Kennedy, he's kind of an exception because he came up from a family of a bit of a wealth because of what his father did. But still, he understood because he served the country, he fought, and he saw it, and he learned, and he paid attention to it. He was willing to learn and to adapt and to change. But others are stuck in their ways, their ideals. One thing about FDR, he was not the perfect president because one thing he dropped the ball on was this issue with civil rights and black people. He dropped the ball on that. Shout out to his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. She fought for us. She even fought for a bill to outlaw lynching. But her husband, he was trying to be aggressive to the Dixiecrats or whatever. But he still had a mess to clean up after coming in behind someone who left him a mess. And we about Joe Biden, you got to think about it. When you become president, you got to come in behind a mess. Obama came in behind a mess after George Bush. He had a war in his hands. He was also dealing, I think SARS was about to end that time. He had to deal with also other stuff and also had to deal with racism in both parties, his own party and the Republican Party, because they hate the fact he is a black man. He had one shutdown during his presidency, but mostly because the fact was the racists did not want him to succeed. Donald Trump is on his fourth shutdown, and how many times he has six reported bankruptcies. And he said his comment saying like, "Oh, shut down the country is the fault of the president." So if Obama shut down was his fault, what was yours? And it's your fault too. The four you have, your fourth one. Instead of just okay, let's keep the country going. Let's make sure everybody's working, people get paid. Let's do that. But no, you want to prove a point. You want to punish people because they didn't like you. They kicked you out, and you don't like people going against you, thinking, "Hey, I'm not no king," but you want to be a king. You want to be you say you want to be a dictator. No, you can't do that. Reason why he doesn't go as far like he can because there are programs and bumpers put in place to keep him from going that far. Such as, like I said, like again, Joe Biden put in over 200 new federal judges, which block a lot of his stuff. He has gone to court and he lost. He has history. He has more losses in court than he has wins. Yes, you saw a thing with CBS, the same you saw with ABC here and there. Those are businesses. They want to grease themselves on him so they can make money and monopolize on the business for their business. But he has a lot more losses in court than he have wins. And he wants to break the rules, but he can't go but so far. I know they're not going to go and bust in with federal officers and arrest the president. They're not going to do that. But they can sanction him. And they can, put him up for charges of treason. He was impeached. He has more impeachments than even Nixon. And Nixon, he just said, he couldn't fight it anymore, so he had to quit. He had no choice. He was guilty. And Reagan came along. He demonized black people and demonized welfare by putting up this one woman who was a one con artist, And then he destroyed programs for mental health, Social Security, create inflation. Then Bush the first came behind him and still in that mess. That's the number of homeless increased because of the Reagan administration, what it did. Now, we could do something better, but the problem is you have to put people who want to do better. As long as you keep voting for the same people who are telling you, hey, black people want to have this, gays want to have that, women want to have that, you go against what you want. You're worried about what these people want instead of worried about your pockets and your money. Stop doing it. And stop using religion as an excuse. Religion is nice, but it does not mean that it makes things better. People have used religion as an excuse for years. Like one example, a lot of people support Israel, but a lot of people, America did not have a big fondness for Jews. Because a lot of white people don't like the idea that Jews, who are, many of them, quite a few are European, they can assimilate a lot easier than black people into society. Right now, a lot of Jews control banking, Hollywood, stuff like that, because they have position and power. And that's why some people grace themselves on it. They even do like back in the day, a lot of racists hated black people, but they wanted our money. They wanted to work for them because we can do the job and the work that most white people wouldn't do. And this is one thing said by LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, the president after Kennedy. He said that what you should do, if you make the poorest white man seem better than the richest, than the most successful black man, you get someone who would do anything just to prove to grace himself upon the upper class of white people. And that's what it is. A lot of poor white people will try to grace themselves with rich white people and look at you down. It's not about so much about your color, about your status, which you are. If you're a white guy You want to be interested in a woman, she has money position, you ain't gonna get with her because you don't have nothing to offer. She wants a man to have something to offer him. And if it is a black man who has that, she'll go with that man. You be mad about it, say, hey, I'm white. We should go with me. Hey, because you don't have anything to offer me. He does. Now, people get mad about interracial marriages, but it's about humans fighting each other. Yes, if a woman's attracted to a man or a man attracted to a woman because they like that person, because they have something about them, and maybe because they become different paths, it happens because when you create a country and intermingle of people of different ethnicities, not race, we're all same race, we're all humans, but different cultures and backgrounds. You're gonna have that, and you hear people say, "Right, well, white people, you're still 50% of the country, over 50% of the country. You're not losing anything. It's just changing, adapting to the times." But as long as people believe that, they're never going to grow and evolve. This is a country where you see, other than maybe Europe, you see many multiculturals, multi-religions, everybody living under one roof. And this is a country that's based on stolen land from stolen people. And you talk about people who call illegal, there are people they were people original descendants, other people that lived here. People come from Mexico. Remember years ago, Spain owned part of America. Then there was the war with the Texans. They pushed the Mexicans into Mexico more, took their property and land and took it over. Those people have a genetic trace to that property land. That was where the ancestors lived. So don't they think they have the right to come back here? This is not being illegal or being undocumented. This is them coming home. America didn't have borders. America extended from Canada all the way down to Brazil. There was no South America. There was no North America. There was no United States. It was all one big landmass. You had different tribes, different people all living amongst each other. Yes, they had fought, argued, had wars, but not to the point where they massacred each other. It was about having property and rights like that. They fought amongst each other. Just like even in Africa, we fought amongst each other. But then Europeans, they fought amongst each other. But it wasn't enough for them to be happy with what they had. They wanted to stretch out and they take over this land. The Vikings came to America a few hundred years before the first early Europeans. They came, they traded, they go back. I was watching this thing. It was like this. It was a reality show. It was like they were. I think it was one of the Road Rules show. They were in, I think, Iceland, Greenland, somewhere, and I saw these totem poles. I said, "Wait a minute! I recognize that's totem poles. What's that doing there?" The Native Americans learned from the Vikings how to make totem poles. Totem poles go as far as you can go places in Alaska. It's tradition that's been passed on. It came from them. It came from the early Scandinavians that came to America, came, traded, and moved and went back home. They can stay here, but the British and the French and the Spanish, it wasn't enough for them. The Italians, this country is named after an Italian man, Mariano Vespucci. But Columbus gets credited and he gets a holiday because his name is Christopher Columbus. It's very white in Catholic and Christian sounding. It doesn't sound as foreign as a Mariano Vespucci. But this man did dirty shit to natives, to blacks. He did dirty shit, and he gets a holiday. But then people say, hey, we don't call it Columbus Day, we call him Indigenous People Day. They wouldn't want that because they didn't want to hit the fact that the suffering that Native Americans came. I know I probably have Native American in my family bloodline because a lot of slaves escaped and lived among the natives. Yes, some of them were slaves, but they didn't treat us as slaves the way white people treated us as slaves. So that we can work and get our rights to be part of the tribe. There's different ways how to treat people. We wouldn't beat down, whip, abuse, rape, and attack. We had to work to get up into the level. And look, some Native Americans, they do have strong African features to them. Some of them were just as dark. I know a friend told me to drive trucks. He go to Oklahoma or someplace else. He said that I seen Native American. I said, I thought he was, hey, brother, how you doing? I said, hey, no, I'm not black, I'm Native. And, he told him, say, hey, wow, you look as dark as me. So that's cool, brother. So, we all family, we all blood. That man is a good friend of his. They were good friends for a long time. So when you drive trucks, you come down there, visit him, hang around, and talk with him. When black people were the most accepting and welcoming people in this country. And we're the most degraded, hated, and talked about. Even when this thing, my man, tell man, Kiel, his family is from Africa. Now, even though he's been born here, he is an African American. Barack Obama is African American because his mother was American, his father was from Kenya. But I am black. I am a descendant of slaves. I'm a descendant of stolen people. My parents were sharecroppers. Their parents were sharecroppers, and their parents were slaves. Only thing I have connection with Africa is genetics, and my bloodline is mixed because I know there's white in it. There's a little bit of this in it. I'm a mutt. If I do one of 23andMe, I think about doing one of the 23andMe things and see what's in me. Most definitely know I got white because a lot of black people here in America, we have some white in our bloodline because we are victims of abuse and sexual assault by our owners, by the slave owners that own us. We have climbed out the muck and still climbing. And every time I hear some person say, well, police us by the bootstraps, but you keep cutting the bootstraps each time we do. You make it more difficult. And then we see programs like affirmative action, DEI come in place so we can get a foot up. You want to cut them because you feel like we don't have the right to that. But you hire people like, right now you have a dumbass sitting as the head of the Secretary of Defense. They call it not war. You don't look for war. Defense, you want to cover yourself. You don't look for war. Yes, yeah, he served, but he wasn't a real soldier. No offense to anybody who served the National Guard. No offense to you. Shout out to you. But you never re-experience how you have to work and control and understand, strategies, stuff like that. He's trying to look up some kind of image, a throwback, an idea that's just made up. Actually, most soldiers are right now sitting around doing their training, trying to live their lives. And then if there does a war happen, there they go. But generally, most of them rather be home with their wives and kids, the girl or the husbands and kids. You don't want women to be soldiers. If women want to fight in war, let us fight in war. I'm not going to try to fight, not for this country, because it's not going to fight for me. It's kind of like Black Americans were kind of like, as you know, I'm a movie fan. It's like that scene at the end of Rambo: First Blood, when Rambo was talking to Troutman, and I said, "What you want, John?" And he says, "I want my country to love me as much as I love it." That's the problem, is my country doesn't love me. It tolerates me because I'm here, and I'm here because again, my family did the work that the white people didn't want to do, and then you get mad at the Hispanics and Mexicans coming over here because they're doing those work. They're doing the jobs that we did. We didn't want to do more, and you owe us a debt. And that's the thing about the welfare system. We're not going to ever get reparations, black people. No matter who comes president, we're never ever going to. But here's the thing: that's the thing is, you can give us this as reparations. For every black person, you should get some kind of assistance because you owe us a debt for building this country, for making sure you have something. So if we take advantage of the system, then it's all right. It's own self because what our ancestors went through and what we went through. We're descendants of stolen people. We still haven't got justice, and we still struggle. I'm going to do this. If you really want this, it's something I saw, the other day. I'm just, like I said, I'm home a lot of times. I don't have a job. I don't have a really place to go. It's just, it's just something that tells you that really say how much we as a people love this country. And how much we are bashed, shamed. We're called out our names. We're told we're not part of this country. I'll show you a couple of videos I saw that really especially touched me, how much we love this country. And again, you don't love us. But we're here. We've been here for over 400 years. That's hundreds of generations of black people have lived in this country. We've been here from this country when it first started, as it grew and got separated in the revolutionary, two wars, revolutionary, civil, and also here in the States, and also wars from First World War, Second World War, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War. And those last other wars, we weren't allowed to fight for our country. But then because they were running out of resources, they needed us. And then we came back home, we didn't get the resources and the support like other people did. So I'm gonna pull this up, this video. I saw this, and this is where that's why I love my people. I love all people, but I love my people more because we understand the struggle. We've been through hell and high water. So give me a second. Now this is from Success. I can't play the music. You know how YouTube is. And Success is us. This is a site I want to see here. Black farmers are giving away food to 200 families in DC. Based in Southeast DC, farmer is an urban family. It's THER. Is THEARC farm. Sorry. Is an urban farm feeding hundreds local families with fresh organic produce, completely free of charge. From farm tours to youth workshops and a CSA boxes, their mission is about food assistance, access, education, and empowerment right where it's needed most. We are a positive media platform for Black communities. Give us a follow, and I think I follow. We see this young brother, growing collards, growing fruits and vegetables. I know kids can't leave our fruit and vegetables alone. Right now, that's probably it. Maybe I think I also once saw one from him say he's getting some, his cows and stuff. And fruit and vegetables nice, but what you can't leave off alone. You need some little meat. But here is one here.
Lovely story, Sam.
Yeah, this is quite the story. 7-year-old Alex Anning, he has a birthday this weekend, but instead of a big party or lots of presents, he's hoping to make a difference.
Bagging groceries in record time.
Timer. Okay, I'm timing. All right, timer. In 3, 2, and go.
This isn't exactly how the average 7-year-old prepares for their birthday, but Alex Anning is on a mission.
I just feel sad that they don't have food.
This all started when Alex saw an unhoused person on the street in need of something to eat. He says doing nothing just didn't feel right.
Usually when I see a homeless person and I don't have time to give them money, I cry.
So instead of having a birthday party this Saturday, he came up with a different idea.
He decided for his 8th birthday this year that he would do a food drive and feed 150 people and try to make
Samantha Chapman joining us now with more on this lovely story. Sam?
Yeah,
a difference for individuals who are both unhoused and just food insecure and need a little extra help to get by.
His mom says the timing couldn't be more critical as millions of Americans go without food assistance benefits because of the government shutdown.
This is coming at a time where it is of great need and increased need. So it really is in God's time that Alexander was motivated to help.
It's a mission Alex is taking seriously, going to different grocery stores to get exactly what he thinks is necessary.
Alex was very hands-on and a little bossy with the grocery shopping. I was like trying to organize and tell him what to pick out, but he's like, "Mom, can you please scoot over there a little bit? I need to push this."
A boy with a caring heart.
I know what I'm doing.
Okay. Determined to fill the need. One item at a time.
Because it helps the community and it helps the earth grow stronger.
Alex and his
Shout out to Alex, 7-year-old Alex Anning from Tinley Park decided to skip the gifts this year and gave instead love in a box this weekend. He's hosting a massive food giveaway at Bond Elementary School in Chicago to help feed 150 families as millions prepare to lose SNAP benefits in November. His act of kindness is reminding everyone that you never too young to make a difference. This is a 7-year-old baby doing this, and I'm gonna say this: if he was my son, he'd be welcome in my house. Right now, folks, I'm crying. I'm crying because 7-year-old baby. I know at 7, but at my age, this boy is older than my grandchild. He's old. I would say older than my son, maybe one of my great nephews, but I would say he's older than my child, my grandson, my nephew, my great nephew, and he's doing. This is 150 years, and you have a nearly 80-year-old man who's mentally like a child. He just saw that Donald Trump threatened grocery stores, discount stores when they try to give assistance to people on welfare because they need that money. They depend at the first of the month. That's when they make their money. First of the month, and also the first of the month and the middle of the month, because soldiers get paid the 1st and the 15th. Right now, Fayetteville is probably starving because they don't have a lot of business. This is the time when the soldiers get paid. They want to party, run out, and these soldiers are not getting money and not even getting welfare assistance. The stores there's no business right now. It's like this, because you don't have people shopping, and people do get paid, do get checks. That money only goes so far. But people get food stamps, and WIC is also part of that. My sister, she works up in Fayetteville. She works for the county, and she told me about this whole thing was going on because she lives in the military. Fayetteville is a military town, and it depends on federal assistance, especially for the military. There's a lot of military people, especially if you're unlisted, meaning if you are somebody who's like as low as a E1 or E5. You can probably apply because you work for the military. You'll get more benefits on the military than you do if you're a regular citizen. You get that opportunity. Right now, you have homeless vets who use that assistance. And right now, you have this baby. He's going to be turning 8. Still wet behind the ears, breath like smell like Similac. And he's doing this. He's helping out. Don't ask where he gets money from. He probably has money saved. Somebody probably put some money towards his birthday gift. Instead of buying a big old clown and all that stuff, he put that money buying food for people, bread, spaghetti sauce, a lot of stuff. He's contributing and helping. But you don't care about that. You want people to struggle. You want people not to have anything because of the color of the skin or where they come from. Life is hard enough as it is now. Why make it hard for everybody else? Again, like I said, my heart goes out to young Alex. He's going to be a great man. I hope I see the day he may become president. I don't know. That's going to be another 30-some years. Nah, I'm not gonna. If I live past 80, that'd be a miracle. If a miracle, I live past 60. But I see him become a great young man, contribute to the world. He has a good heart. I hope he gets, because as children, we change. Children just have pure, beautiful hearts. I love children. I love babies. I often keep saying this. My greatest regret was never having any of my own. It'd be great if somebody called me daddy, but I didn't put myself out in the world. I didn't look. I was busy. I didn't go a lot of places. I was too much of a homebody. I worked, and also I didn't want to mess too much people around here because I'm related to half the town. I have either choice: out of state or out of race. I'm too old now to have kids because I'm gonna be 51, and I don't have the energy to chase after babies. But I love babies. My nephew, his little girl, my great niece, she's Jada. She's gonna be 4 months, I think, this month. I think she's coming on. Probably I hadn't seen her yet. She's been around my sisters and the other family members. Squeaky, if you listen to this, I want to see that baby. I want to see that baby. I'm going to bite him. Yes, Squeaky, I'm going to bite the baby. When I get him, I'm going to bite him. I'm going to bite her. My mom told me I got it from my daddy because my daddy used to love biting the babies when he was young. Yeah, I got it from him. But folks, yes, we're going to struggle. But the thing is, life builds strong people from struggle. We adapt, we learn, we grow. We find ways to survive hardships. That's how life is. That's how people are molded from greatness, because hardship learns us to appreciate the opportunities we get, the things we get. Like a while back, one of my followers, he sent me $3 in my Venmo. Because you see my ticker tape. I got my PayPal, my Venmo, my Cash App. And I'm not monetized because you have to pay to get the monetization. I was talking to one friend about it, but there's a lot of stuff like that. I don't want it. That's a lot of rigmarole. I don't want to get into it. And my channel is, still it's growing bit by bit. And I appreciate all people that support me and follow me. I appreciate you all. But if you want to help a brother, as you know, I know I'm just lost $60, but hey, you can donate. My Cash App, my Venmo, and also my PayPal. Hey, I use the money for what I need. Also, hey, as you know, I'm planning on going to a show next month. Also, I love to go to Olympia. I have a 2-year plan. I'm trying to save a few bucks and try to hit the Olympia. I'm trying to save for my trip for next year, and I'm trying to save a trip for the Olympia. I would love to go. I remember I was talking with a shout out to Nicole. She says it's like $700 for a certain silver package. If I can get that much together and call my cost of my plane ride, the cost of my motel stay, and money for Uber, or I think somebody says it's cheaper to get shout out to my man BC Royce. It's cheaper to get what you call Airbnb than a motel. And like I said, I'm not driving. I'm gonna take Ubers. I'm not gonna even rent a car. If you're somebody you like to drive, cool. But if you're somebody you don't know a city that well, get an Uber. It might be that cheap compared to if you have your own car, but you still have to put gas in that car and wear and tear on it. If you get a rental, but that's another expense you have to pay. But I am planning on going to a show. Right now, I'm looking at something either. I got family in Atlanta. My great nephew lives there. Him and his girlfriend. I might go there, or I'm talking to my friend Eunice. She's planning on promoting, and competing in the show. So I want to maybe be there and check that show out. She hasn't tell me what show is it yet. Well, she has told me, but I want to tell y'all it's between me and her. She's my friend. And I want to keep her confidence. When you ladies tell me something, I want to keep your confidence. But I'm like, also you can go to my IG. I do have my GoFundMe. I think it's also here in the ticker tape too. Yeah, it's there. If you want to donate to me and help me, because shout out to my man David, he inspires me because my man David's go this weekend, and you are going to be at the Steve Carr show. I'd love to go, but that's I don't have a real ID, and the trip out to Tampa kind of broke me. But I'm trying to save some money so I can be able to go to a show, because I love to go to shows, meet you ladies, but I do need the help. And that's the thing is, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to help. And that's the thing with the welfare system. It's helping the citizens that live here. Poverty hurts America. We need to break it. We need to, if you increase the minimum wage, if you give tax breaks to the lower classes of people, they will put the money back in the system. I'm seeing people talking about how these women getting their nails done, these Louis Vuitton dolls, Louis Vuitton bags. Why not? What woman doesn't like to have her nails done look pretty, especially when she wants to go for a job? And those Louis Vuitton bags, you can go to any little corner, hole in the wall, off the truck place, and get those things for under $50. Because there's people who make the copycats. They're not getting the real Louis Vuitton bags. Those things cost thousands of dollars. You just hating. Even get somebody else's pocket. Stop pocket watching. Bitches. Stop pocket watching. That's what you're doing. You're pocket watching. You look at somebody else's money instead of worrying about your own. Stop worrying about what someone else is spending. As long as their bills are paid, their children are fed, they got gas in their car, they have no problems. And yes, if they have to trade food stamps or EBT to get that, why not? As long as they have their cupboards are stocked and not bare, as long as their babies have food in their stomachs, and as long as they are taking care of themselves, because sometimes people like to enjoy like those little pleasures of life. Like I said again, I had a car. It broke down. I was thinking about saving for a car, but then, it takes a while. I remember when I had my first real job, I saved. It took me about 3 years to save for a car. I bought a little chicken little thing, and I gave it to my mom. And then when my brother died, he gave her a truck, and it was my car. And I drew that car to a quote. Then I got another car when I got my last time I got my taxes. That car broke down on me. Then I got another car, and then my sister gave me a car. Well, I might have another car because I'd be able to go and do here, but most of the time, I'm not like when I was a younger man, yeah, I travel. But when I'm an older man now, where's it really to go? Maybe when I go to the gym, go back working out, and I was doing that. But I can there's other ways I can do that. But stop pocket watching other people. Stop it. Quit doing it. Quit paying attention to what that person's doing with their money. That's even though it's government money and yes, it's taxpayer money, but it's their money once it gets in their pocket and gets to their account. It's none of your damn business what they do with it, how they spend it. But his thing is that money is going back into the system. Stop getting rich people benefits and stuff like that because they don't deserve it. They got the money. They can live off what they got. You can't spend billions of dollars, millions of dollars in a lifetime. Yeah, it's a situation like with Hammer, but he even when he was broke, he still had money. Stop using that as a point. You have the money, and if you've got to pay your fair share of taxes, you should. Think about it. If you tax the richest people, hike their rates, that money goes back in the system. It goes to schools. It goes into programs for children. It goes to programs for health and benefits for the elderly. That money can sustain systems like Social Security, social services, the welfare. This welfare supposed to keep. Right now, there's a judge who puts a flag. Hey, unlock and give people the welfare money. Where is doing the money? That money should be going to the people who pay taxes. And right now, if you have these senators and congressmen sitting there and not doing what you want for them because they tell you the same bullshit line, then you are messing yourself up. Kick them out. Push out the Mike Johnson. Push out the Marjorie Taylor Greene. Push out the Tim Scotts, that Oreo. Push out those people. Yes, you may not like. Also, push out the old people like Chuck Schumer. Get strong people who want to fight for you as a citizen. Who wants to know? Stop being friendly with these people. Yes, I know you share it, but these people are not really your friends. They are your opponents. They're a person that's stopping you from getting what you want. Push back, fight. Maybe I'm just passionate. Like I said, I lived in this country 51 years. 51 years. And not much has changed. A little bit. But we should be more advanced. We should be more. America should be as this idea of this great glory, but we're not. We are a mix of people with backgrounds. We're mutts. We're this, we're that. We're not just this great, all this. Nah, no one's really some kind of great prestige, whatever culture. We're not. We are just rude and crash. Because we set the example for everybody else to look at, we should be better. But we're not. And right now we got a fool who's running this country doesn't know that. You don't realize that you are messing up. Whatever you feel like you're doing good or you're not. Right now you mess at the White House. That's the house you're living there rent free because we as citizens give you that opportunity. So the reason why he's building this because he's mad when we reached out to Barack Obama and said, hey, I want to build this. Said, nah, I'm good. He felt like that black man. Yeah. I know you said the N-word. He's trying to push it so he can get another election. But you know what? If Obama runs, he gets his clock clean. Now Michelle don't want him to run, but maybe Michelle said, hey baby, I'll change my mind. Once they let him try to run, you should run and see what happens. What's going to happen? He gets his clock clean. He's scared of Barack Obama. He's afraid of Barack Obama. Barack Obama has clowned him. Even though he became president, he still clowns him. He still lives in his head rent free. No matter how much you say, like I saw one guy called Sambo. So he want him to. So you feel like he did enough for black people. He did as much for black people what he can within time. The people that who supposed to be his party that supported him, stabbed in the back. And also he has to do for not just for us, but for the whole entire country. He did the best we could with what he got. Right now, one reason why they're holding the government because they wanted the change the premiums for Obamacare, where it makes it higher for people for their health care policies. That system didn't work out at first. It was a struggle. But then once it started moving, what it did was it stopped people from going to emergency rooms for medical assistance. They can go to a regular doctor. I used to go to emergency room when I was sick because I didn't have health insurance. It was difficult. But then, hey, I got my Medicare, it helps out. Now you have people who have Obamacare because that helps them out. It covers, and people say, well, tax is higher. But you know what? If you want something like universal health care, it's going to be higher taxes. But here's the thing is, you're taken care of. You have medical issues. You don't have to go and pay expensive health care, or on your job where it's still higher. If it's cheaper to have health care through this program than on your job, you should take it. It helps you in the long run. Right now, I remember it used to be a clinic right here in my town. There's a clinic now, but there used to be one we used to go to when we were growing up as kids. We didn't have a car, so then we walked to the clinic or we got a ride. That clinic closed down about over 10 years ago. It's now a little casino spot. We used to go there because people weren't paying, they were getting assistance and subsidies, and people weren't paying their bills or whatever else. But did the time they were getting assistance. But now a lot of these little rural, small country clinics are going to close down because I'm trying to be clean, done with the big bloated piece of shit bill. And you did it to yourself. Don't blame black people. Don't pull us in your mess. I know 20% of black men voted for him. Those fools just are fools. They try to grace themselves upon white people. 7% of black women, 7% black women voted for him, but our black women are a little bit smarter. They don't pull up with shit. They have to deal with black men. That's what I'm, But people realize something. And also, I'll tell you Latinos, you're not white. Yes, some of you look white, but you're white looking people who speak Spanish, and they don't trust you. Right now, there's an argument about Bad Bunny. He's an American citizen. Puerto Rico has been American territory for over 50 years. And many Puerto Ricans fought in World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Gulf War, because this was their country. And maybe someday somebody will make Puerto Rico the 51st state. Even Guam, the 52nd. And those people have the right to vote when it becomes American citizens. They can't vote here in America because it's still territory. They can vote in their own policies in their own country because they're more like the borderline state. They don't have a president; they have a governor. It's not like Cuba or those other countries like the Dominican Republic. Those they have their own countries, but Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. But because they speak Spanish, then remember America took over parts of Spanish territory, Mexico, Arizona, California. And there's still those people who lived there are descendants of those people that originally lived in that country before it was taken over and territories were split. And those people who's coming back across those borders, I remember I was watching a special. During WW2, as you know, this was a war where the most black people were enlisted because there was segregation. That was doing both during FDR and not Eisenhower. He was the vice president for FDR. He became president for 2 terms. I forgot his name. Well, who he was. History. They were the 2 presidents that ended segregation in the military. They allowed service people who want to fight for their country, both in Korea and also World War II. So what happened was a lot of farmers did not have the workers they used to have. So what they did was made a deal with Mexican workers to come across the border. And this is foul shit. They even delice people. There's a special, I watched it. How they had to delice them like they were animals. What the hell? They weren't dirty. If they weren't dirty, they took a shower like any other human. But you delice them like when you go to prison. You ever see those prison things? They put delicing on you, that white powder. They treated that to Mexican people like they were animals. And they worked the jobs. They did the farms. They took care of the people. And then when the war is over, black people came back. Many of the black men didn't want to do that. They didn't want the opportunity. They would deny GI Bill. They fought for this country and deny a GI Bill would probably give them wealth, education, which should get up there to that, I won't say equal to white people, but at least a little better in status. And they denied that. You think about it. if you can revert that and say every person whose parent that fought in World War II and also maybe Korea who were denied the GI Bill, what we do, we'll give you this as sort of inheritance from that miscarriage. If you can show evidence that your family member fought during those times and they were not, and we see the system, you were not given the GI Bill, you would give inheritance. You would give free college. You would give other stuff that you could have gotten because if your parents had gotten, you could have status of wealth. You could have been better off. And that's one thing, was our population would increase and grow. Go back to the situation with Black Wall Street in Greenwood, Oklahoma, where those people were successful, growing, developing, because white people were so jealous and hated that they went in and could rely on them. Government went in and bombed and killed people. A lot of people who had insurance were denied their insurance rights. Most of the people of the Greenwood Massacre are dead now. There's no one can claim. You can't even claim. I mean, the next person needs to do something like this. Wherever where Greenwood's at, put a memorial, establish a fund for those descendants of the descendants of the survivors. Establish a college fund for them, where you are paid this and that for the rest of your life. You go to college, you don't have to pay for it. You can pick whatever college you want. We'll give you this amount of money. You can want to make your own job, build a business. And people say, they'll throw it in like gaudy clothes and this and that. You don't know that. You go by assumptions and prejudices, what you said. They might put into maybe building a business, building a home, having property. When you have something your own, you can get the benefits of it. We have property and land. Like back in the day when they was Spanish to the West, people from Europe can go and get land. They weren't technically citizens because they're white. The Irish, the Italians, the Germans, because they were white, they were given that privilege. Black people was not. We were getting the right to get property and land. Even though we lived in this country for, at that time, nearly 300 years. 200 years. Because we're considered less than humans, especially that's on the Constitution. The same Constitution y'all want to brag about. It denies the right and liberties that you got. I'm not a big fan of the Constitution, but at the same time, hey, I appreciate the fact that what it does. But it's supposed to be equal for everybody. And slavery still sits after the end of the Revolutionary War because those people didn't want us to have opportunities. I know people, I'm just bagging off. I'm not gonna say much longer because, as you know, just saw the list for the Steve Carr show. This is great. I mean, I looked at it. Confirmation: we have at least 11 women. We could have at least 13 or more, but I don't know what happened. I think Chelsea Dion, she dropped out because she felt like she wasn't ready. She needed more time, especially after Olympia. One lady I know, I thought she was going to do a show, but from when I saw the list, I think she changed her mind. You know, if I see her on the show, I'm going to watch it. You know, it's $30. You know, not too expensive, not too bad. It's not going to break my bank, but you know, here it is for you guys who are bodybuilding fans and you want to know. This is just for a little interlude. I was hoping they didn't post the list till like about, I think it was like around about 8 last night. And for you who are fans of bodybuilding moves, well, you I know you came out for the bodybuilding talk, but you know, we do have here the list. And it confirms that we have at least, if you can see it, we have at least, let me see if I can expand it a little bit. You have Julie Foray. I knew she was going to do the show. Patty Hansen, Hunter Henderson, Ashley Jones, Janine Lukowski. She actually called me. She actually sent me a message saying she's going to do the show. So now it's confirmed. Elizabeth Molini, you know, she said in our interview. Brittany Parrish, Paige Songren, who I interviewed. 2, I don't know how to say her name. Carmen, I'm not going to say her last name. And Marilyn Yee. 11 ladies. This is the most. We could have had 12 to 13, but Chelsea dropped out. Another lady I know who said she was going to do the show. I think she changed her mind. You know, I'm not going to give her name, but she said she would do the show. We have 11 ladies, 11 bodies. Thank you. Maybe next year the show will have it next year. But the list for the remaining Muscle Fests, well, as you know, Alcyone dropped out. And, you know, we have 4 women's bodybuilding. You know, like I said, it's not as many European women, you know, compared to if you look at the other divisions. You know, I think some ladies could have jumped on the show over there, but we do have at least 6 ladies. Amelia Bukov, who just did the Alina Popa show, and also I think she did the Germany show. Ivana Devakova, you know, she hadn't competed since I think 2023. For Faulkner, who competed in Mexico last weekend, or weekend for last. Isa Fabiana, who competed at the Germany show. And also, I'm going to call OT. She did physique this year, but she did women's bodybuilding last year, and now she's back to women's bodybuilding. And we look at physique list, because is this one of the other shows that's qualification for physique for 2026. You have Manon Jambore, we haven't seen her compete in quite some time. Vanessa Barniti, you know that's the name is. Corinne Cyril. Actually, this lady just turned pro. No, that's another French lady. I'll go here. Robin Gardner, you might know as Robin Butterfield. I interviewed a while back. She was talking about competing last year, but then whatever happened, she got married. Jessica Macedo. This is the lady who won her pro card at the Amateur Olympia. Miss Moore. Brooke Piggin. You got here Paula Ranta. What you young behind doing here? You just again 25. She's 25. This is going to be maybe her 8th or 9th show, probably counting Olympia. Yeah, 8th, 9th show. You need a rest, girl. You know, I mean, I'm surprised she didn't show in Mexico, but she tried. You know, it's easy to do a show in Europe. Yeah. Then you have Carolina Alvarez dos Santos. She lives in Portugal now. No, she was Brazil. She must live in Portugal now. She needs to stop competing. If you can't make the Olympia, don't compete. I hope she doesn't win. You know, she don't need to win if she can't make the Olympia. Unless she gets her situation fixed with her visa. This woman has done multiple shows. She has 4 Olympic qualifications in her career and has never competed in either one of them. Whatever issue you have with the visa, you need to fix it. Maybe she needs to stay someplace, you know, maybe change a venue. Maybe that's why she's Portugal. She's probably a Portugal citizen. So maybe she can apply for, but if she got anything on her record, it doesn't matter if she changed citizenship, she can't get in the U.S. And you have Angela Winkleman. You know, this is a new one. So you have at least about 11 to 12 ladies for women's physique. You know, kind of low numbers compared to, but I wish there was a little more for women's bodybuilding, but we all know not a lot of women competitors, the cost of traveling, all that stuff, but you know, that's how it is sometimes, folks. But maybe next year we get more ladies in women's bodybuilding. Some ladies are just stacking their chips, resting, and giving time stuff to recover. But you know, can't wait. Like I said, I'm going to watch the Steve Carr show. Remaining Muscle Fest, nah, I can't afford to do 2 shows in one day. And then I just watch the finals. You know, I might, depending on how much expense it is. You know, as you know, right now, I lost my $60 in food stamps. That means that $60, that's money I have to put into buying food for myself. So I can't spend that. So, you know, it was like $80 when I bought the Olympia package. So. And since, you know, that extra 50, since the Steve Carr show just costs a little over 30, and then that's $50 I can use to buy my groceries for when it's time for me to buy groceries. So, folks, like I said, and just me talking off my butt. I do appreciate my shout out to man Jay Henry coming through. Shout out to people who did a lot, listen to me rant. Shout out to you people who are haters on Black people and blaming us. we're only the minority of this country, but get the majority of the blame. And it's you who did this to yourself. You voted for a fool. For a fool. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You didn't know from the first time, but you did it again. So you thought you were going to do better? He did. He's doing worse. And we have to live for him for the next 3 years. 3 years and 7 months. I mean, 7 weeks. 7 weeks. Because only, now in November, there's only a few weeks left of 2025. And we have to survive to 2028 to 2029 for the next person. I feel like this is just me. We're going to have a golden age. I hope to see that. I hope to see 2029. Hope to live past 2029, 2030. We're going to have a golden age because when you go through suffering and hardship, it only get better. It happened with the Great Depression. We're not going to be like that, like the Great Depression. We're not going to be like that because there's bumpers, securities, and guards for stuff like that. It could be a lot worse than now, but we're not because thanks to Joe Biden, shout out to President Joseph R. Biden for putting in those federal judges. And some of those judges that blocking Donald Trump are judges that he appointed himself. Because he's not a man about law and order. He hates law and order. He hates the system. He gained it. Again, this man has applied for federal assistance with Pell Grant. He has called bankruptcy 6 times. If a man can't make money off casinos, tell me how he's going to keep a country going. If you don't know how to make money off of casinos, tell me that. Tell me that. You're dumb. Ooh, I want to go really dirty with y'all, but I didn't put the, I probably put the restrictions on like I should have. But tell me that, folks. Tell me. Y'all that stupid, and truthfully, you are that stupid. Like I said, you can't fix stupid. That's the problem. And that's the thing is, educate yourself. Be mindful. That's the one thing. He don't want people to educate themselves, to read the fine print. People don't like to read. I'm not a big fan of reading, but I try to read as much as I can. And I don't read as much like I used to when I was younger. My eyes are getting worn out, and sometimes I'll go sleep when I read a book. I like something to pay attention to, get my attention. I'm kind of short by then, But I'd like to thank y'all people for listening to me. Taking time. I know it's Tuesday. I might do a live on my IG probably tomorrow because I do that every once a month. Go live on IG, just talk and rant, especially about the bodybuilding stuff. And I know it's not about bodybuilding, but it's about something that touched me as a citizen. Like I said again, I grew up in the welfare system. It held me and my family down like steel, and it held me down even when I was unemployed and on Social Security. I don't get a lot. I still get $60. But that means something that helps me out when I'm down. It's needed. And yes, it's temporary, but sometimes some people, it's hard for them to recover. It's hard to bounce back. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of things. And for us people who don't have the means and the ways, or sometimes physical limitations, or we're just getting older, it's hard for us to really bounce back. That's why one thing, whoever becomes the next president, you need to increase the SNAP benefits for the elderly and disabled. Tell them no more of that limit because how much you get. Here's the thing, let's make it a $200 minimum for anybody on disability and anybody who is the elderly. Because you think about it, $200 can go a long way. You won't have to spend cash to buy your food. You can stock up. And yes, you can buy stuff like the treats and stuff like that. Okay, that's what you want to spend with. Go ahead. But it helps you have to dip in your cash because you never know. If you have a car or something happens, you have money so you can use it, spend it towards that instead of buying food. But like I said, my health insurance benefits is only so much a month. By the time I go through that, I have to pay my light bill, and after I buy my food, whatever left over, and then I have to dip into my cash and pay to buy groceries. And I said the price of groceries is high, and rent is high. But if you give us an extra $200 a month, hey, we know how to stretch it. And yes, some people will take advantage. Because like I said, assistance, like right now, you have people who sit there who take advantage of it, and they know they take advantage of it. But the rest of us are just trying to survive and try to live and try to make a struggle out of it. Shout out to my young, I don't call him my nephew. No, my son, Alex. My grandson, Alex. I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of you. If I was your granddaddy, I'd be proud of you. I want to hug you and kiss you and say, boy, you're doing good work. You're doing the work of Jesus. you are truly, a child of God. Except these other people claim they are. Right now, there's a preacher right now who is offering assistance to people on welfare, people who are struggling. But there's another one who's shamed a woman for giving him $1,200 in donations. That's $1,200 you didn't have, you dumb piece of. That's $1,200 I get almost a month. I could use that. Hey, anybody out there, you got deep pockets? Hey, donate me $1,200. I think I might go to a show. That's I might have to, I still have to go do this. I have to go get myself a new Social Security card because the old one I had, I washed my water a long time ago. It got washed and ruined, and I don't have it anymore. I got to go to the courthouse to get myself a birth certificate. I got to go to Social Security office to apply for a new, I can do it online, but I just rather go have someone else do it for me. I mean, it's a lot of wiggle room and jumping around. I'd rather just go ahead and go to the Social Security office and apply for one. I don't have nothing. I got nothing else to do. But it also, once I get it, I gotta make an appointment with DMV, and then I'll get myself a real ID. So whenever I want to go to a show, just get a plane, a few hours. I don't have to drive or ride a train or a bus. I mean, that trip to Tampa, I had to wait 6 hours at a depot. There was no place we comfortable to sit. I mean, the life. I mean, I just couldn't get comfortable. I mean, those metal hard chairs at that depot, train depot in Savannah. If I could, would have just maybe go to a motel, stay for a few hours, and come back when my train was coming back. But I didn't want to miss my train because I learned that from the first time. I missed my train the first time I was in Savannah. Well, folks, I just thank y'all for listening to me. Shout out to my man Jen here. Appreciate the early birthday salute, brother. Appreciate it. Shout out to people who did watch and listen to the video. You may have a comment, but I appreciate your comments too. And this is Mail Over Joe's page. Like, don't subscribe. I'm out.